people were able to come, so I thought it would be a good time to switch it, make it a little bit earlier. Maybe more people would be able to come. I don't know. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
We'll start in 2 minutes. Is the heat okay?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I think that BBC was coming.
Yeah, good. There are people that are actually tuning in online, which is wonderful.
Yeah, you see.
I can see that there are a number of people who have already clicked the link. Yes.
Okay,
What do you mean? You could do this online?
Yeah. This is the first time I'm doing it online also.
Oh, my goodness.
What's the link? I'll write it down.
I sent it out on the email, so it's sent out via email.
I think you're talking yourself out of the class.
You have to meet the people where they are.
That's right.
Okay, we'll start in just one moment. Good morning, Judy. There's some sheets over there.
Go ahead.
All right, good morning, everybody. We are going to start our Parsha Shir today, which is both taking place live and also live on the internet. I can see already that a number of people have logged on, so it's a delight to welcome everybody who's present here and also all of our listeners on the World Wide Web. We're going to switch the format a little bit in terms of the Parsha Shir. Traditionally, I should say, over the past few months, we've been looking at more of the medieval commentaries during the week and 19th century biblical commentaries on Shabbos morning. I thought we would switch it up now and put more of our focus on the 19th century commentaries during the week and perhaps more emphasis on the medieval commentaries on Shabbos morning. So let's begin in the very beginning. We're looking right now at source number 1 for those of you who are listening on the internet. So I'll go nice with the text. This is the very beginning of the Parsha, Perek Lamed Beis Pasuk Daled. The Torah tells us, "Vayishlach Yaakov melachim lefanav el Esav achiv, Arza Seir Sidei Edom." Jacob sent angels ahead of him to encounter his brother Esav to the land of Seir, the field of Edom. What was the purpose of sending these messengers? So the Torah tells us the next pasuk, "Vayitzavo Samle Mor," and he commanded them, saying, "Ko somrun ladoni le'Esav, Ko amar avdecha Yaakov, im lavan garti ve'echar ad ata." And he commanded them, saying, "So shall you say to my master, to Esav, thus said your servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Lavan, and I have tarried until now." Listen to that very subservient that Yaakov uses, right? What does he call Esav? He calls Esav my master. How does he identify himself? As Avdecha, servant. Vahi lishor v'chamor tzon v'eved v'shivcha v'eshlecha lahagid la'adoni l'mtzochem beinecha. And I have acquired oxen and donkeys, flocks, manservants and maidservants, and I have sent to tell this to my master to find favor in your eyes. So before we jump into the 19th, back a couple of centuries prior to the Radak. The Radak's question, if you will, even though he doesn't address directly a question, but the Radak's question is, why does Yaakov need to take such a weak stance? I'm nobody. Esav, you are my master. I am your servant. let's recall from Parshas Vayetze, when Yaakov is away from Esav, he has an encounter on Har HaMoriah. And what does God tell Yaakov? You recall? What does God tell Yaakov? He says, Yaakov, wherever you go, I will protect you. Whoever comes to attack you, I will shield you. So why do we find Yaakov afraid? Yaakov is clearly filled with such anxiety. The Torah is going to tell us a verse or two later that Yaakov is literally afraid and he has anxiety. What's there to be anxious about if God has already told you explicitly, wherever you go, I will take care of you? So writes the Radak as follows in source number 2. Vayishlach Yaakov melachim. Af al pi shevtichu hakel kama pamim. Even though God has already promised Yaakov on a number of occasions that God will protect him, God will watch over him, he was still afraid of his brother. First of all, Esav was seething, was extremely upset when Yaakov stole the brachas. That's ultimately why Yaakov had to run away. This is a topic we've discussed in a number of different contexts, that Yaakov was afraid, Shema Yigrom Hachet. What does that phrase mean? What does that phrase mean? Shema means perhaps. Gore means to cause. Chet is sin. Perhaps sin has caused. Perhaps sin has caused what? No, not exactly. Perhaps the sin of Yaakov, or the sins of Yaakov, have caused Yaakov to lose some of his protection. Right? God says to Yaakov, I'm going to protect you. The sort of the unspoken word at that moment, of course, is that I'm only going to protect you if you remain the Yaakov that I love. But if you end up sinning, if you veer off the path, so I'm not going to protect you. This is not an absolute bracha that will exist under every single circumstance. If Yaakov would have chas v'sholom decided to go worship idolatry, if he would have been coming snarled in Laban's home and ultimately gives up the path of Torah, mitzvos, chas v'sholom, would Hashem's bracha still have applied? I don't think so. So Yaakov is afraid. Shema yigom hachet. Perhaps sin has caused him to lose favor. And that's why he was very, very anxious. And that's why Yaakov felt the need to send messengers to Esav to placate Esav. V'sholach lo malachim me'anshav lefanav. And Yaakov sends messengers from his camp in front of him sheyavahu limtzochein be'inav, to find favor in the eyes of Esav. So that's the Radak's a very important explanation, commentary at this moment, that Yaakov was fearful despite receiving assurances from God, because Yaakov felt that maybe when God promised me what he did, I was on a certain level, and maybe since then I have dropped down, I have sinned, and I am no longer worthy of the blessing promised.
So maybe it could be because Yaakov thought that what he did with Esav, that God had very close to Esav, and wanted to do something on behalf of him.
Very interesting. So Alan is suggesting that maybe the actual act of stealing the brachos, maybe that itself made God upset, and that's why Yaakov was fearful. But I would disagree with that based on the chronology. Who can tell me why we could disagree with Alan? Anyone can disagree with Alan. Certainly Doris can disagree with Alan, right? But basically the answer is as follows: because Yaakov's vision of the ladder and the angels and God comes after he steals the brachos. So if you'll tell me that what Yaakov did stealing the blessing and therefore God's not so pleased, why do you have the vision afterward where God said, I'm going to take care of you? The implication of the timeline itself is that God upset at Yaakov for stealing the blessings, and God in fact responds to Yaakov's anxiety at that moment where he has to flee from his brother, saying, don't worry, Yaakov, wherever you go, I will protect you. So
very much to say Yaakov was wondering if he didn't really just imagine this.
Perhaps. Perhaps. Fair point, Bernie. Fair point. So let's think about the Radak's commentary, and it will serve as a bridge to the 19th century, to the Malbim in particular. If Yaakov was afraid, if Yaakov felt that maybe the assurances that I received from God are no longer going to be relevant because I've sinned and I've dropped down, and I therefore need to beseech my brother, I need to take a very subservient approach, I have to show him that. Okay, so if you wanted to send such messages to your brother who you think hates you, so what type of language, what type of ideas would you draw upon? Some of those ideas I think we already mentioned. Yaakov calls Esav his master. Yaakov calls Esav his master. Yaakov calls himself the servant.
I think we're trying to.
Right, but just one moment. But then he goes in a very odd direction. If you're trying to express how you haven't really made it in life, how all of the brachos that Yitzchak has promised never really materialized into anything, so would you play up your material success, or would you play your material success? What do you think? What's the simple understanding? You would imagine that somebody that's trying to take a very weak stance, trying to show how little I have accomplished, would not focus on all of the material successes. But again, look back at source number 1, verse 6, pasuk vav. Vahi lishur b'chamor tzon v'eved v'shivcha. I have donkey, flocks, manservants, and maidservants, right? To use sort of update the language to the 21st century, it's like Yaakov would have said, Nebuch, Esav, all I've been able to accomplish is to buy a few Lexuses and to, live in a big fancy house, and I've got an apartment in Fort Lee, and an apartment in Florida, and an apartment in Yerushalayim. If a person's trying to play this on those particular accomplishments,
But I think what he was maybe
okay, interesting. So Alan is saying that maybe Yaakov is trying to send a message to Esav that I have been successful and I'm here to help you if you need. But that doesn't seem to be contextually correct, because Yaakov is afraid of hatred and resentment in his heart. So why would he come along saying, I've made it, but if you need help, I'm there to help you? I think that would be just putting salt on the wound. So, okay, that's true.
Was desperate and was needed help. He would say, my brother's here to help me. Maybe he's sorry.
But I don't think that that's the card that Yaakov was playing. I don't think that's the card that Yaakov was playing. So where do you see that in the verse? So says Rabbi Reiner, for those of you who are listening in live on the World Wide Web, and Baruch Hashem, I see there are a number of people that have clicked on the link, which is wonderful. So, says Rabbi Reiner, Yaakov is trying to suggest to Esav that all of the brachos of the Tata of Yaakov never really materialized. Where do you see that? I've got oxen and donkeys, manservants and maidservants. I know, that sounds pretty good to me. But you're right, Rabbi Reiner. And I'll tell you who says you're right, the Malbim. In source number 3, the Malbim, one of the great German 19th century biblical commentaries, writes as follows: Vaitzavo Samemor, Sam befihem devarim, lahotzi hamistama sheyesh le'esav alav ala brachos. That Yahweh provides the language to these messengers that will actually take away some of the anger and resentment of what's feeling. Ulahoros lo. And to show Esav that all of those wonderful brachos, they only were accomplished, they only came through Esav and not through Yaakov. After all, when the Tata was sitting down to give the brachas, who did the Tata have in mind? Who do you think he had in front of him? Esav. So Yaakov is trying to show Esav that since Yitzchak had you in mind, I didn't get any of the riches that Dad promised. When Yitzchak said, you will be the master to your brother, has that happened? What does Yaakov say? Tell Esav, Ko Samru la Adoni le Esav, Ko Amar Techa Yaakov. Ladies and gentlemen, who's the master? Who's the master? Esav. Right? Again, Yitzchak says, Hevei gevir la'achecha, you will be the master over your brother. And through Yaakov's language, you see clearly that Yaakov felt that he was not the master, he was the servant. She'esav hu adon v'hagevir. V'chein hala habracha kolelas kol ich achav u'mishpachto. And the Malbim suggests that Yaakov is also trying to suggest to his brother that the bracha was really spread upon everybody. Everyone in the family received the bracha. Let's keep on going. Hine im Lavan garti. I have been sojourning with Lavan. Kiger the eretz. Lo kigavir umoshel. I have been a ger. What's a ger? A foreigner. I've been a foreigner in the land. I have not somebody in charge. V'gam shel bracha haisamital hashamayim umishmanei haaretz. And Yitzchak said that the brachos will come from the dew of the heavens and the riches of the land. This happened with you, Esav, not with me. Shekivesh eretz miuchadeh. Esav, you're the one that's conquered lands. I've been a foreigner with Lavan. I have no land, no property to show. You're the one that you conquered Seir. You're the one that's in charge. Lo bi, not me. Shegarti be'eretz loli. I've been a foreigner in a land that's not mine. And don't say ki od chazon lemoed she'skaimu ba'asir. And don't tell me, well, you haven't given enough time, Yaakov, to see the brachos really material. Zezman Rab. I've been there for a long time. We know that Yaakov was with Lavan for how long? Over 20 years. You'll tell me that Esau is going to say, well, Yaakov, you're still going to get the brachos. It just hasn't happened yet. Yaakov is telling his brother, I've been already for 20 years waiting, and I've got no real estate at all. I've got no deed on any land to show for my successes. So far, what the Malbim has done has showed us that in Pasuk Hey, where Yaakov calls himself a servant, and Yaakov points out that he has been a foreigner in a land for a long time, he's giving over the message to Esav that no good has come from his father's brachos, from the stolen brachos. Next paragraph. Vayihi v'od shehabracha hu shehei shefa v'atzlacha lemala miderech hateva. The bracha that Yitzchak gave was that there was going to be material success in a supernatural way. V'ani hama'at asher yesh li ba v'rov amav yagia. You know how my material success has come to me? Through a lot of hard work. That's another meaning of the words that I have sort of stalled up to now. I've gotten nowhere. I've been slaving away. And only now, after 20 years, do I have something to show for it. And what do I have? I've got oxen and donkeys. Lo kodam lachem. Rak achar avoda shel 20 shana. After 20 years, I finally have something to show for my work. V'gam lo bracha rabba. It's not like I've even got very much. Rak shur v'chamor. I only have oxen and a donkey. Me'at mikomin. These are not the impressive livestock. This is not a Lexus. This is driving, a Parsha to Yid's car. Honda Accord. I drive a Honda Accord, so I can draw upon my own modest car. Okay, a Honda Accord. I'm not driving a Lexus. I've got no Mercedes to my name. Yitzchak's blessing was focused on the land. Mishmanei haaretz v'rov dagan v'sirosh, the fats of the land and the produce. Umizeh emi muma. I've got nothing to show from that perspective. Not only that, I have nothing to. I'm such a foreigner. I have to ask you permission to come through your land. 1 second. And that's why that's why I'm sending these messengers to find favor in your eyes, because I have nobody else to turn to. So the brilliance of the Malbim is that when you look at the Psukim at first glance, you think Yaakov is a Meshugna. He's trying to placate his brother, trying to tone down the resentment, but he's actually bragging. It doesn't make any sense. And the Malbim says, no, if you break down each and every phrase in this message, you see that Yaakov is just trying to give over to Esav that nothing has come from the Tata's bracha. I am your servant, I have no land, I have worked hard, and all I have to show is a shor b'chamor, which is not a very impressive which are not very impressive resources, which is not a very impressive cattle. And therefore, Esav, I beg of you, let me pass through and please don't hate me anymore because nothing has come from my subterfuge that we read about in last week's Torah portion. Okay, questions before we move on.
It seems to me that we're being overly, sort of trying desperately to turn Esav.
Yeah.
That doesn't, I don't understand why we felt that.
Very good. So it's interesting, if you look at the Medrash, there are some Midrashim that are exceedingly critical of Yaakov's very weak stance at this moment. Yeah. There's a Medrash, I don't have it in front of me, that says something to the effect of, since Yaakov called himself an Eved at this moment, in the future, his children, his progeny, were destined to be Avadim to various different world powers. The Medrash is saying, Yaakov, why are you so meek and weak? Why don't you stand up for yourself? But this is the way Yaakov felt. He clearly does take a very meek stance when standing up to Esav. The Netziv in Ha'amek Davar in source number 4 says something along the lines of the Malbim, but he doesn't plug it into each and every phrase as the Malbim does. He sort of gives a more macro perspective. Look at what the Netziv writes. Going on the words, Vahilishor v'chamor v'eshlecha la'agid la'adoni, Hainu l'kabel hamatana she'etein lach. So I'm going to be sending you some presents. I hope that you'll accept them. V'lo haya bazeh mosif kina v'ho asa ash osher. Says the Malbim, the Yaakov did not think he would be adding to Esav's jealousy by sending these gifts. Ki ashirus v'li gidula hanhaga eino inyan le'esav liknos. Let's read that again. Ki ashirus v'li gedulas hanhaga. It's really one phrase. Riches without gedulas hanhaga. What's hanhaga? Hanhaga, no, that's hana'am. What's a manhig? A manhig is a ruler. So to have riches without gedulas hanhaga, without being of authority, without being in charge, eno inyan le'esav liknos. There's nothing to be jealous of. Basically, if you have lots of money, but you have no real, political clout, if you're a no-name, so that's not such a big deal. Esav wasn't bothered by the riches. We know Esav was already a real leader of his people. That there were 400 people, there was a 400-person entourage. So that's a chashiv hayid. To have a 400-person entourage. Yeah, exactly. Maybe not such a, I shouldn't say yid, because I don't know if he was a yid, but he's a chashiv person. It's like that old joke that one time the Pope was driving his big fancy car on a long stretch of the highway. There was a limousine person, a chauffeur. Nobody's on the highway now, and I've got such an itch. I've always wanted to drive this type of car. So the chauffeur didn't know what to do, but the Pope said so. That's why they switched spots. The chauffeur went to the back. The Pope was driving the car, and the Pope was a little giddy, and he was going like 100 miles an hour. And the cop pulled him over, and the cop walks to the front of the car, and the cop starts shaking. And he runs back and he calls in. He says, I don't know who's in the back of the car, but the Pope's driving him. So I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I think the joke was connected, but that's my point. The point is when you have 400 people, an entourage of 400 people, that's a choshev of entourage. So the Netziv is very interesting. The Netziv says that Yaakov wasn't really trying to play down his riches. You can't hide it's a reality. Yaakov had a large camp with him. Yaakov was a rich man by the end of his time with Lavan. You can't hide that. There was no such thing as offshore accounts to hide all your money. Esav was going to see that he was rich. But Yaakov was trying to make the point that he was rich, but he didn't amount to anything in terms of power. And therefore, there's nothing to really be jealous of, particularly because you, Esav, do have a lot of power. That's a very interesting perspective. Now, I included in source number 5, an interesting point from Rabbi Bachya, which takes us back a few centuries, is not 19th century, but I include this because it always amazes me how Chazal never miss a beat. There is never the most subtle of subtleties in the Torah that goes unnoticed. So listen to what Rabbi Rabbi writes in source number 5. The Torah should have put son, a flock or cattle, before the other. Again, if you look back in source number 1, verse 6, pasuk vav, Yaakov sends word to Esav saying, "Vayili shur v'chamor son." I have oxen and donkeys and flocks. So the word son is like the fanciest of all of the type of livestock that a person can amass, at least in times of Chazal, at least in times of the Torah. So if Yaakov is sort of, certainly from the Netzis perspective, if he's not trying to hide his wealth, so as a usual matter, son should come first. They talk about the sheep and the goats before you talk about the oxen. So why does Yaakov put it last? So asks Rabbi Navachia, that son should really come first. Son usually comes first because that is the most prized of all of the different types of animals. Shekain kasav Abraham, we see by Abraham, ule Avram hitiv ba'avura, vahi lo son uvakar, that Abraham was made a very rich man and he had son uvakar. So son comes first. Gabi Yitzchak says, vahi lo miknet son umiknet bakar va'avudaraba. So again, the Torah puts the word son first. Gambi Yaakov ksiv. Vahi lo son rabos v'shvachos v'avadim g'manglim v'chamorim min hatzon kodem v'chol behemos. So son is the word that always comes first, yet here it's third. So why is that? So you'll tell me, well, Yaakov didn't want to draw attention to himself. So why did he mention it to begin with? You'll tell me, well, Esau was going to see it. Okay, you could say take such an approach. But Rabbi Bachia says that son was a very emotionally heavy word to use. Why was that a very emotionally heavy word to use when it comes to Yaakov and Esau? So who can think about it? So interesting. So the stew that Yaakov made, and that's what he used to buy the Bechor, was made from son. Interesting. But go sort of closer back to Parshas Vayishlach. At the end of Parshas, two Parshas back, Toldos. L'maisa, when Yaakov went in, so his mother Rivka told him to go to get the goats, and that's the fur that he arm. On the top of page 2, what's the reason that it's not mentioned over here, or it's not mentioned first here? Yaakov didn't want to mention the tzon. Through the tzon, nisrakon. What does the word nisrakon mean? It's not such a common Hebrew word. It means to be emptied. It's through the tzon that Esau was emptied from his blessings. V'zacha Yaakov behen. And Yaakov received the blessings. Kenyan shakasav, as Rivka told her son Yaakov, lechna el hatzon. Aval kasher chazru hamalachim al Yaakov. But when the angels come back, hiktim es hatzon. There, the word son is already used again in the first as the first item that's mentioned. So again, once we're not dealing with directly sending a message to Esau, the word son comes back to be listed first. And when Yaakov and Esau are having the discussion, and Yaakov is not so worried anymore, so again he puts the word son first. So I place this Rabbi Nabachia over here because I am always inspired to see how no detail goes unnoticed. That Rabbi Nabachia saw that son is usually listed first, and now it's third. Wow, unbelievable. It's a nice idea. Attention to what was a very contentious item. Good. But here's where our work begins. And I'm going to show you a pasuk, and this pasuk will be a bridge to the Meshech Chachma, another one of the outstanding 19th century commentaries. But before we get to Meshech Chachma, we'll also have to look at the Netziv and the Medrash on other outstanding sources. But the problem is as follows, that Yaakov is holding back. Okay? What do I mean by holding back? That Yaakov is sending the waters to see what does Esau feel. Is he going to engage in battle? Is he going to be friendly? Is he going to act like a brother? So he's sending out a feeler, trying to test the waters. And he's telling the messengers to relate to Esau, Vayili shor v'chamor, but so, and I've got ox and donkeys, reference to goats and sheep. Okay. We know, however, ladies and gentlemen, that Yaakov had one other type of animal too, that he does not mention, at least initially, to Esau. What animal does he not mention? So he also had camels, gemalim. How do I know that? Because 2 psukim later, in Pasuk Ches, we looked at Dal and Vav. We're skipping Zion. Look at Ches. Vayira Yaakov, oh, this is in source number 6. Vayira Yaakov ma'od vayetzer lo. Yaakov is very frightened and he's distressed. Vayachatz es ha'am asher ito, v'es hatzon v'es ha'bakar v'ha gemalim l'shnei machanos. So he divided the people who are with him and the flocks and the cattle and the camels into 2 camps. So what's going on over here? When Yaakov is trying to send messengers to Esau, trying to test the waters to see, does Esau still hate me? Does he love me? He mentions shor, chamor, and so on. He doesn't mention Gemalim. He doesn't make mention of the fact that he has camels. By the way, when he actually sends the gifts to Esau, he will send camels. So why doesn't he make reference to the camels in the initial communication? Are they? That wouldn't be a very fast tank. A camel is... Okay.
People rode camels, they didn't ride.
Yeah, they rode camels and walked there.
Interesting. So he sort of wanted to keep his military prowess secret. He didn't want to share everything. It's like he didn't want to talk about the new F-16s that arrived in Israel. He wanted to keep that F-35. So he wanted to keep that private.
But you can't keep that.
Why then? Okay.
That's why it's invisible.
Right, dude.
Okay, so any other suggestions why camels are left off the initial communication? Strange. So look, interesting, higher value. Interesting. Okay, I wouldn't be able to evaluate that. Comparing the value of ox and donkeys, camels, goats, and sheep. I don't know. I haven't. Although there is a famous story about someone in my wife's family who was able to procure some of these animals and took them to the local girls' high school for a Purim Chagiga. But that's for another time. Okay, so it says the Haimik Davar in source number 7, writes in the Tiv as follows. V'hinei zachar shor v'chamor, below zachar gamal. Yaakov, in his initial communication, makes mention, it's on the back of the first sheet, he makes mention of the oxen and the donkeys, but he doesn't make mention of his camels, which we know he has. V'gam kasha ha de zachar eved b'shivcha shelo sholcham klal. Additionally, he makes mention of the manservants, the maidservants that he has, but when you look at what Yaakov actually sends, the gifts that he sends to Esau, he does not send a servant at all. So what's the point of mentioning it if he's not going to be able to send the peace offering? So then it doesn't really help us very much. He writes, Elaba l'ramiz inyanim nistarim, kemevuar b'bereshis rabbah. It must be that Yaakov had other intentions here. He was referencing inyanim nistarim. What does nistar mean? Hidden. So he had hidden messages, subliminal messages that Yaakov was sending to Esau. And it doesn't tell you what these subliminal messages are. Okay, but Baruch Hashem, I've got Bar Ilan, and I looked up the Medrash Rabbi myself. In source number 8, look at what the Medrash records. Rabbanan Amri Shur ze Mashuach Milchama. That the Shur references the Milshuach Milchama. That is a reference to the anointed high priest. I'm not 100% sure. That pun was not intended. Shne'emar Bechor Shoro Hadar Lo. That's a reference to the Psukim, where Moshe Rabbeinu was giving a bracha Right? Who's that a bracha to? It's a bracha to Yosef. It's a bracha to Yosef. So essentially, Yaakov understood that the shur represented some messianic theme. Either it's the Mashiach who was anointed to go out to war, or it refers to Mashiach ben Yosef. I think that's more likely the pshat over here. It's a reference to Mashiach ben Yosef, who is on some level that's the Mashiach that's going to come first, and I think he's going to engage in battles, and then the second Mashiach ben David will come. I'm not particularly fluent in all of those logistics, okay? But the word shur refers to some messianic idea. A reference, as we see in Moshe brachos in Bezos HaBracha. Chamor. So why does Yaakov mention the Chamor? Ze melech HaMashiach. That's actually the king. So now that I see that as I'm speaking, for sure, again, pun not intended, but for sure, the Meshuach Milchama is a reference to Mashiach ben Yosef, and the Chamor is a Mashiach ben David. Shne'emar, what does that have to do with a donkey? So we know that the Messiah is going to arrive on a donkey. Why do we know that? Because it's a prophecy in Zechariah and Zechariah. Ani b'rochiv al chamor. He will be someone of poverty and riding on a donkey. Okay, so you see chamor is a reference to messianic. Tzon, what's the reference in Tzon? Elu Yisrael. That's a reference to the Jewish people. Shne'emar ve'etnat tzoni tzon marisi. Okay, so tzon is used in the context of a prophecy in Yechezkel regarding the Jewish people. The Eved, the Shivcha, what does the reference to Eved and Shivcha have to do? Hinei kenei avadim al yad adonehem. So basically, it's a reference to the Jewish people who are servants of God. So it says in Netziv, Yaakov has multiple meanings in mind when he's sending off his presents. It's not presents yet. When he's sending off the message to Esav initially. So he draws upon Shor and Chamor, Tzon, Eved, V'Shivcha, because those all have references to future times when the Jewish people will rule, our close relationship with the Almighty. So on some level, Yaakov's telling Esav, don't mess. Because I am destined to be my family is destined to herald the Messiah, so on and so forth. I'm the progenitor of the Messiah, so back off, he says. So multiple messages. So why isn't Gamal mentioned? So if you ask the Netziv, I think the Netziv would tell you because there is no reference for Gamal. The Jewish people are not compared to a camel because it doesn't have that additional message that Yaakov intends to send. That's the Netziv's interpretation. So far, so good? For some nods on the internet, but I only see myself. So I'm going to assume that everybody who's watching online, Baruch Hashem, there are a nice amount of people. So, and if you're in Florida, you should just know that it's quite cold over here. So we're all thinking about you and happy that you're enjoying. Okay, I like 25-degree weather. It's very pleasant. Okay, that's not true at all. So says the Meshech Chachma in source number 9, something entirely different. This is like unbelievable. I would tell you that everything we've seen today so far has been worthwhile to come and to listen, but this Meshech Chachma is just really extraordinary. I've spoken about it on a number of different occasions that the Meshech Chachma had this unbelievable ability was brilliant, that he was able to weave together and Torah Sheba'al Peh in really an unparalleled way. So listen to what the Meshech Chachma writes in source number 9. Lo amar gama. Yaakov does not make reference to the donkeys, to the camels, as the Torah tells us he has camels. We see that 2 psukim later. We know he's got camels. Deha inyan. The matter is as follows. Ki, and he quotes a pasuk in Koheles, Elokim asa es ha'adam yashar. God made man straight. Vehema bikshu cheshbonos rabim. And man made mistakes, if you will. Okay? So God makes man as straight as possible, gives man the opportunity to do good, and man makes the wrong decisions. Man has many thoughts, and he has many decisions that are ultimately the wrong ones. I am reminded for a moment about a joke that Rabbi Goldberg said many years ago, but it stuck with me because of the word cheshbonos. You know, a young couple, middle of the night, they hear their baby crying. So the man, he wants to get up, but ultimately, oftentimes it's the mom that gets up to heed her baby's cry. So that's alluded to in the Parsha. Rabos machshavos b'leiv. There are many thoughts in the heart of man. V'atzas Hashem hitakum. But ultimately, it's the wisdom of God that she will get up. Okay, men should get up and help their wives too. But I'm just reminded of that joke as we see the word cheshbono. It's fine. The bottom line is that God creates man straight and good, and it is man who ultimately makes his way very crooked. Ki techilas habriya haya ki yate atzmo l'tzad hatov tamid. Originally, God created man with the capacity to only do good. Rak hayetza hara hu mesis bifnei atzmo, and there is an external force. The yetzer hara was something external that tries to corrupt mankind. Amnam ka'asher ba hanachash al chava v'hitil ba zehuma. But when he was able to seduce Chava, he ultimately instilled in Chava zehuma. Zehuma means like a putrid smell or some sort of filth. He put this filth into Chava. Shnisargu hatov v'hara bo ba'atzma. That when she sinned, ultimately evil was no longer external, but became now intertwined into the existence of humans. Again, these are very lofty ideas beyond my pay grade, but I'm reading the Meshech Chochmah as it is. So God originally creates man yashar, straight. Evil is something external. And after Chava sins with the Nachash, so then evil becomes something more internal. It's the Zehuma, it's this filth that fills the bodies of Adam and Chava. B'chemo de Targim Unklos, as Unklos translates regarding the Eitz Hadas, Mina Lemeda Tov Ubish. It's through eating from the Eitz Hadas that man learns both good and evil. So that was the way it was. Ad Shegimel Avos Biru V'Zikuko. Until our patriarchs came and tried to sort of sift through the good and the evil. They tried to separate what was part of one person from the time of Adam and Chava. The Avos came along and tried very hard to sift out the evil components of our personality. Kime Avram Yatza Yishmael, because Avram gave birth to Yishmael, and that represents the evil that was sort of separate from Yitzchak. Umi Yitzchak Esav, and Yitzchak gives birth to an Esav, but that allows the evil to be separate from Yaakov. Ad Sheba Yaakov v'haya mitaso shlema, and Yaakov has 12 children ultimately, and all of them are kosher people. Kid'amru zal b'Shabbos, as the Gemara in Shabbos says. Next paragraph. Ve'etzem nefesh ha'Yisraeli no telato, and because the Avos worked so hard at producing good, so we know that the essence of the Jewish soul is a good one, a desire to do what's right. Rak se'or shebe'isa v'shibon malchios na'akev. But there is this little external piece that still tries to trick us. We are subjugated by the kings, and that also causes us to sin. But ultimately, it remains something that is external. V'lachein mahani kefiyah b'mitzvos kedivrei Rambam. But since ultimately, all Jews want to do good, that's why we're allowed to force a Jew to do good. As the Rambam says, you can force a man to give his wife a get. Isn't that a forced get? That's not allowed. No, says the Rambam, because the Pintel Yid inside wants to do what's right and what's good. You might be scratching your head saying, this is very nice, Rabbi Goldberg. What the heck does this have to do with camels? Okay, we'll get there in just a minute or two. V'harahu inyan b'fnei atzmo. And evil remains something that is separate. It's an isolated entity. It's not part of the essence of a Jew. Kilo ke'esa b'chavera umos ha'ulam. Kilo ke'esa b'chavera umos ha'ulam. Basically, the Esav and the nations of the world, they're different. Shenafsham ivasara. Their souls desire bad. It still remains enmeshed in their personality because they never had somebody that worked to separate the good and the evil. And that's why we suspect Gentiles of all sorts of sexual impropriety, because they have not refined their souls the same way we have. V'zeh shalach lo, and that's the message that Yaakov was sending to Esav. Im Lavan garti, v'taryag mitzvos shamarti. I've been living with Lavan. I've adhered to the mitzvahs. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The reference to the camel. Ready for this? Vayhili shur v'chamor. I have two separate sets of animals. I have two separate identities, if you will. Ki hatov v'hara nifradim. They are separate. By the way, a shur is a kosher animal. A chamor is a non-kosher animal. I have been able, through my hard work and my observance of mitzvos, to separate the good and the evil. V'lo kigamal asher darshu chazal b'medrash al Rivka v'atir kavena al hagamalim. Not like a camel, as the medrash focuses on regarding Rivka. Ma gamal yeshlo simen tuma sheyatza mimenu Esav. Gamal is unique. What does a gamal have? Gamal has split hooves, right? It has one sign of kashrus, but we know it doesn't chew. Says the Meshech Chachma, although he doesn't write this explicitly, but this is really what he's getting at, is that the gamal represents somebody that still has two internal identities. The good and the evil are mixed into one. There is the siman of the kashrus and of the non-kashrus. Gamal has both. Yaakov says, Zahili, sure, I have a kosher animal, and external to that is the chamor. I've got two separate identities, not in the sense like he was schizophrenic, not in the sense that he was extremely confused, but in the sense that he was able to see good and evil as two separate ideas. He was able to filter out that which is appropriate and that which is not appropriate. But he doesn't make reference to Gamal because the Gamal represents somebody who still has the lines blurred. Can't tell the difference, what's good and what's evil. I understand that our human makeup from the biological level is the same from a Gentile. But what makes a Jew different is the ability for the Jew to see more clearly what is right and what is not right. What is a value that is held by God and what is not. So Yaakov doesn't make mention of Gamal because Gamal mixes up. Right? So Meshech Chachma, right? V'chein Esav hu chazir meya'ar. There is a reference to like some a pig, or some sort of undomesticated pig. Kidi Esav b'medrash ze Edom. The chazir, the pig, is Edom, is Esav. Because the pig also has, what does the pig has? The pig has split hooves, but it doesn't chew its cud. She'etzlo mi'urav hasiman tuma in siman tahara. Because the pig, Adam, Esav, he has the tumah and the tahara all mixed up. Shekibed aviv v'ima. We know that he had some good, he also had some very unsavory qualities as well. V'zeh darush aruch ein kan mekomos. Says Meshech Chachma, this is really a long drasha. This is not the place for such a drasha. Okay, but it's unbelievable what he writes. Isn't that unbelievable? Such the way he takes one word, the absence of one word. Gamal, Yaakov doesn't mention Gamal. We know he hasn't. And he a whole perspective, a whole hashkafa from this one word which Yaakov leaves out. We're not Gamal. We don't have it all mixed up. We can tell we've got our shur, we've got our chamor. We can keep the entities separate. We can filter out the good from the evil. And not so the umos ha'olam. It's a beautiful interpretation. The Meshech Chachma says, I'll tell you something else. He takes them of a different direction. Another understanding why Yaakov does not make mention to Gamal. Says the Meshech Chachma in source number 9, the 4th paragraph. Od yesh etzel ha'Yisraeli. There is something else that a Jew has. Ki hu machdish davar. A Jew has the ability to sanctify an item. V'sadehu chayiv v'maestros, and even something as earthly as the earth, the ground. You can't get more physical than the ground. But even the ground has capacity for kedusha. We know that we have to tithe that which we grow. We have to give some to the Kohen. We have to give some to the Levi. We have to bring some to Shalayim. So the Jew has the capacity physical in this world. And that's why the rabbis argue, can a non-Jew even take hold of the land of Israel? Because when you take hold of individual, it's suffused with kedusha. I'm not sure if a Gentile has the capacity to do so. So the Gemara argues about that point. Ubehemto kadosh lebechora. Even our animals, again, as earthly as it gets, are sanctified. We have to give the firstborn of the shore. We have to give our oxen and the cattle and the sheep and the goats. All that has to go. The firstborn has to go to the Kohen, right? Ma'aser behemos. A chamor. We have pidyon chamor, which is I work together multiple ideas. There's the concept of bechoros, and there's also the concept of the ma'aser behema. There are all sorts of ways that we give the animals and we sanctify them. But Gentiles don't do that to their animals. They're like ownerless. They haven't done anything meaningful with their livestock. Our kedusha stems from the Ribono Shalom. So God is holy, and that holiness trickles down to us. And therefore we are able to suffuse our items, the most base earthly items. We can make them holy. What item seems to be excluded from this list? What item do not have to give the oldest of the litter to the Kohen? And what item does not require ma'aser behema? The answer is the gamal, the camel. It's left off the list. So it doesn't. Is it an inferior animal because it's left off the list? I don't know. But for every reason, the Ribono Shalom did not include gamal in any of these obligations. So Yaakov is trying to send a message to Esav that all of my wealth that I have amassed, it's purposeful. I give it kedusha. I sanctify it. I elevate it. That's why I'm right. That's why I have everything. I'm not interested in just the big fancy house, azoi. I'm interested in the big fancy house to use it for kedusha purposes. So if that's the message that Yaakov is sending to Esav, what does he leave off the list? He leaves the gamal off the list because it's not really germane to his point. He goes on. It's such a magnificent piece, but that's generally what he is. That is generally the point that he is making. He goes on. Let's read one last piece, and maybe we'll stop. Let's read the next two paragraphs, and then we'll stop. Even when it comes to sanctifying time, hanivra hayoser dak b'mitzios. Ooh, what a sentence! What does that mean? Hanivra, that which is created, hayoser dak b'mitzios. What does the word dak mean? Dak is thin or subtle. The most thin or subtle creation is time. Time is the most elusive matter that a person can receive. We don't own time. We don't. It's created. Interesting. The Rambam says that time was not directly created. It was a result of motion. Because if you're going to go from point A to point B, then by definition, time had to elapse. But the Meshech Chachma might not be taking that perspective. The point is that time is the most subtle of things created. And b'koach shum nivra. And nobody that's created, Rak Yitzli Yisrael, only the Jewish people, shebikocham lahakdish moed b'yovel. Only we have the ability to sanctify time. Because it's such a sublime, amorphous item, it's very hard to sanctify time. How do you sink your teeth into time? And the Gemara Yerushalmi discusses this idea. So he's just speaking about that the Jew has the capacity to sanctify everything, even the most subtle of items such as time. And the Gentile doesn't have such capacities. Turning the page, and with this paragraph we'll conclude. And that's why Yaakov is sending this message to Esav, letting him know about the tremendous power that he has. I am worthy of Bechora because I have the capacity to sanctify the items. That's why he says the word Garti. V'tari mitzvah shemarti. V'hili shor b'chamor batzon. Ki chol eile kedushim b'bechora. All of those animals, the oldest of the litter, is sanctified. Sheshefa kedushas Yaakov shofea gam al michnehu b'kinyano. Because Yaakov's sanctity spills over to his possessions. Eved b'shivcha shehem knulim Yaakov kinyan hasmachi v'ratzon Hashem yisbarach. These are given over to Yaakov to sanctify. Okay, so then you can finish it. it off. But the point is that the Meshech Chacham is telling us that the Gamal is left off list because it is not something that it has a, let's say, inherent kedusha such as the other items. So it's a magnificent interpretation, beautiful interpretation. Why the Gamal is ultimately left off the list. Bernie.
It's interesting that time is always a mystery in physics. What is it really? And it took Albert Einstein to come along and say that time is really part of creation.
Right.
Time was created when the world was created.
Interesting. Very interesting. Good. Very interesting. So let's just take a moment to review. So we started by reading the first 3 psukim in our Parsha, Parshas Vayishlach, where Yaakov takes a very, very weak stance against his brother Esau. And the Radak wanted to know, why is Yaakov? He has sinned and is no longer worthy of the protection. So if he's trying to take a very, very meek approach, why is he bragging? So the Mom says, if you read the psukim, he's not bragging. He's showing that all of the brachos that the Tata gave never came true through Yaakov. He was a foreigner. He doesn't have any land to show for his name. He's only got the shor v'chamor. It's not such an impressive amount of resources. So there's no reason to him. Nothing came true. We saw Rabbi Nabachia noted that when he's giving over this message, he puts son last, because son was used for the trickery, and so he doesn't want to add salt to the wound. Why does Yaakov pull out and not mention Gamal? You know he's going to send Gamal, so why doesn't he speak about what he owns? So we saw the Amikdavar that says because each of the items that he speaks about have a deeper reference, and that's the Medrash, the Shor and Chamor, the different messiahs, so on Be'eved, where we are the servants of God. Okay. And lastly, we saw the Meshech Chachma go offer 2 interpretations. Either the fact that the Gamal has 1 siman of kashrus, but is not ultimately kosher, shows that the Gentiles still can't filter the evil, but Jews can. Or secondly, that the Jew has the ability, the capacity to sanctify all sorts of items, and the Gamal is not on that list. Doesn't mean you can't use the Gamal for good purposes, but it's not on the list of Kedusha, and therefore it's left off the list. So
the bottom line is that what Yaakov was attempting to do is to show that he messaged to Esau,
right,
that he was spiritually.
Right, exactly. Multiple layers in the initial communication. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. All of you who are online, I hope you enjoyed. If you want to send me an email letting me know that this worked, I'd appreciate it, because we will absolutely continue this. It's no big deal going forward. So all of the viewers, if you could just shoot me an email and let me know if the internet worked well. We will Bezrat Hashem next week. Stop broadcast.